Thank you guys for showing up. Happy Halloween. I got a little treat for you guys. When I was in kindergarten, I remember a song, and it was a Halloween song, and it's pretty awesome. You ready for it? It's like a little tap from someone. There we go. H-A-L-L-O-W-E-E, it spells Halloween. Dress up as bats and scary cats and go out trick or treat. Ghosts and goblins, witches and magicians, we all get together and dance. Stir up the brew, then say boo! Fire, Paris, France. That's pretty good. I remember that from kindergarten.
I think you should do it one more time. I think that's a good one.
Do it backwards.
Do it backwards, there we go. Well, thank you for dressing up and showing up today. Today we're going to talk a little bit about misconceptions. And part of the fitness industry, there's a lot of people who make a lot of claims. And so today we're going to talk about two big misconceptions. I'll kind of leave the floor open for you guys to talk about anything that you think is true or not true. The first one being around nutrient timing. Who here has ever heard it that you should eat at a certain time, you shouldn't eat at a certain time, or anything about how many times a day you should eat? We've all heard it, but we're not. Come on, we've all heard that before, right? Breakfast is good for you. Breakfast is bad for you. Don't have lunch. Don't eat past 7 o'clock. You guys heard the recent one with all over the news last 2 days? Red meat causes cancer. It was a big scare. And it's a statistical analysis when you compare all this stuff. And I was just watching a good video from a PhD in nutrition. He was breaking it down because all these numbers when it comes to studies. Stop looking at my letters. when you look at these. The analysis, it's to the lay people like us, when you hear something like 18% increase in colon cancer, that sounds like a lot. And they're actually comparing it to smoking cigarettes, which is insane. The take-home message from that science was that it's pretty unclear. Just eating in general, you're going to be more prone to cancers. That's just how our system works. So some of the main things I want to talk about was eating past 7 o'clock.
Oh, how was it?
I have a lot of clients who talk to us about that. They said that. I had a client who said she gained a bunch of weight because she was in a state of starvation, which is called adaptive thermogenesis, where she thought that you can't eat past 7 o'clock. All of a sudden, these fat gremlins come out and they store everything you eat into your stomach. And it doesn't happen like that. So, where we go? Oh, hey there.
What's going on?
But that's something I originally talked about in my book, was eating past 7 o'clock. I said something I'm good to do. Another thing I talked about was nutrient timing. At the time, nutrient timing was you exercise and you have this window of about an hour, and if you don't eat, you lose all your gains. That's why we're working out. We're trying to get those gains, but that's also very, very false. Eating throughout the day is another big misconception. People think that you need to eat every 2 or 3 hours because you need to stoke the metabolic furnace. Again, another big misconception. I was talking to a student the other day, I challenged him, I said, where do you hear this stuff? And what do you think most people say?
The internet.
Internet, or this one guy told me. Who's that guy? He's in good shape. Does that mean that he should be given that advice? Right? So we got to challenge people's authority. Someone tells you, oh, you shouldn't be eating this, or don't have sugar, don't have alcohol. It's probably a good suggestion, but we make all these very, very bold claims with not much science behind it. And so what it comes down to is finding what works for you. You could eat 1 meal a day and be in the best shape of your life. You could eat 6 meals a day and be in the best shape of your life. Really what works for you. What I challenge people is to find or distinguish the difference between physiological and psychological hunger. You guys know what the difference between those two are? Physiological and psychological hunger.
Needed one.
Need one. So I wake up and I'm told I need to eat. Lunch, 12 o'clock, at work, you gotta go eat. Do you really need to eat? So here's the problem with that, and that's what we tell our clients at Trail Fitness is, it's not that I don't trust my clients, it's that I know that if I'm put in a situation with cookies in front of me, I'm not going to have it. It's not good for me. They're my favorite cookie, I love it. But for our clients, they're more likely to indulge in a cheat or something like that. So the take home from that is, eat whenever you want to when you're hungry, but learn to distinguish the difference between physiological and psychological hunger. Hungry appetite, yeah. Are you really hungry? Or are you watching the race, the the new Amazing Race, whatever show you're just bored and you want to eat. That's what a lot of people do, it's just bored eating. Any questions about nutrition stuff? Big misconceptions when it comes to nutrition.
Did you say it was a misconception to not eat after you work out, or you should eat after you work out?
I think so. You need to eat after you work out to feed your muscles. You break down muscle when you exercise. You do a good routine. One of the trainers here, you're going to do 4 or 5 sets at 10 repetitions. You break down the muscle. The more muscle you break down, the better the hormonal effect you're going to get in the future. And so it's really important to consume protein to rebuild that muscle. If you eat it immediately after, if you eat an hour after, if you eat 5 hours after, it doesn't matter. As long as you are eating, that's the most important thing. So we all have nutrient concerns when it comes to protein, and a lot of us are not eating optimal amounts of protein. So there's a calculation now for the last talk, and I broke down how to get the exact amount of protein you probably should be consuming. But really the take-home message is not enough protein. What protein does is it really helps fight off these urges that we have, because there's a lot of these nutrient deficiencies because they're not eating enough protein. So when you eat more protein, you're not as prone to have a cookie or snack or binge when it's in front of you. It's really controlling your psychological states. And do I really need to eat, or am I eating just because I'm bored? Or am I eating because it's in front of me? It's a big difference. So my suggestion, when I tell people, right after workout, eat, because you're going to get hungry soon. In an hour or two, if you're walking around and you smell Chipotle, nothing wrong with Chipotle, you're more likely going to indulge at that point. So why not have a protein shake after a workout, have a protein bar, consume something to keep you full for longer. Protein does take longer to break down, so consuming it throughout the day regularly, what you're going to find is you're less likely to binge throughout the day. The average person is consuming a lot of carbohydrates for breakfast. Nothing wrong with carbs, but what happens when we consume a lot of carbs, they go through us fast. Honestly, who could eat 5 of these cookies? Wow, that was good. Would you be full afterwards? No. It's just simple. And so there's not much mechanically to break down. It just goes right through the body. That's what we call simple carbs, simple sugars. Again, I'm not saying carbs are bad. What I'm saying is that they're easily digested, and so you're hungry again sooner. If you were to have some nuts, if you were to have some protein, something that takes longer to break down, you're less likely to binge struggle. So timing, in a sense, is important, but we focus too much on it, where you don't have to eat at 8 o'clock in the morning, or 10 o'clock, or 12 o'clock, or 2 o'clock. Eat when you're hungry. You're get lightheaded or dizzy. It's your body's way of saying, I'll probably need some fuel, consume something. Simple sugars will get into your body faster, and have some fruit. Don't classify foods as bad. There are processed meats, hot dogs, those aren't good for you. If you're eating those thinking you're going to be in the best shape of your life, probably not. You probably will end up with some type of cancer in the future. Pick foods that are lean in fat. Ideally, it's okay if you have red meat, if you have some stuff that's higher in fat. It's not the end of the world. So, good question. Any other questions on nutrition?
Where did it get like?
Oh yeah. And I actually there's some studies that look at the consumption of carbohydrates right before you go to bed and filling up liver glycogen. And what happens is you're able to get into a deeper sleep because of that replenishment. So a lot of times we're late, right, when we can't have any snacks. But let's really analyze, what do people eat at night? That's the question. So if we're just saying eating in general, this is probably going to be on the counter. Oh, it's fine to eat at night when you have 2 or 3 cookies before you go to bed. That's not what I'm talking about. So if you're hungry, you want to have some fruit or some vegetables or some protein, that's fine to have. But having a full meal before you go to bed, depending on what your goals are, isn't necessarily bad. If you're trying to build muscle, you're trying to shut off a few extra pounds, it could be definitely beneficial if you're not consuming enough throughout the day. Yeah?
What do you recommend for like a breakfast before you work out in the morning?
Great broad question right there. We just had a client who came back from a long break of vacation and stuff, and she went back right into her routine of exercising and eating before a workout. She got pretty lightheaded and busy during a workout, which is pretty common. And so you can't say this is the single best thing. If you can consume protein before and function all right, that's what I suggest. Having 20 to 30 grams of protein, that's optimal. Some people say, I need carbohydrates, I need oatmeal before I work out. But do you really, or are you conditioned? I always have some type of shake or some type of sandwich before I work out. My biggest thing when it comes to working out, are you getting optimal results? If you're setting, or if you're at least lifting close to your standards, it's not a linear progress. We're not always going to keep on increasing in our gains. But if you're consistently doing well, then have something before. Find out what works for you. And that's what people hate hearing from me when I tell them those answers that they're very blanket. Like, what should I have for breakfast? What do you like to eat? Find something you like to eat that's not the, personally, I like suggesting, what I use is just some type of protein, have chicken breast, have, if people go to the oatmeal, it's a bodybuilding route, very calorically dense. I challenge people for a month to go off of grains because I think that behaviorally we go right to them. And when you psychologically start thinking about, wow, it's really easy to have a grain or have rice or have pasta or bread. I'm going to start being creative and finding new methods. And then when you learn yourself how to get over the urge to have the simple breads, you're just going to be a more creative eater. And then having breakfast. What do you like to have for breakfast?
I usually have a shake early in the morning.
Yeah.
When I come here. It's got milk and peanut butter and whey protein.
Yeah.
And then after I finish, I usually train people in the mornings. After, then I'll eat like some red meat or something, and then I'll train.
Yeah.
So,
I was thinking in my mind right now,
On a very
if no one
serious
else
note.
was here, this would be a very weird conversation.
No, opposite actually.
Two princesses talking.
Queens.
There you go. After a workout, what should you eat? What works for you? Get protein. That would be one of your better times to have a carb source, so to replenish your muscle glycogen, which is in your liver, and your store glycogen in your liver and your muscle. And so, any other questions on nutrition?
Yeah, what about vegetable protein for meat?
Okay.
Is this, we can say the same?
No, they're not the same because the amino profile. There's 20 amino acids. So some vegetable proteins don't have the full profile. If it has a full profile, that's okay. So you have to, like, if you're getting there's like Vega protein, which is fine, it has the full amino acids. You gotta make sure to have all 20 of them. Meat, red meat, fish and chicken, they have, and eggs, they have all the aminos that are required for full optimal health.
Yeah, we can combine that with, I don't eat meat, but I
Okay.
eat chicken and fish and eggs.
Yeah, that's fine.
So that's why we've been combining that.
Oh, you're good. I'm not saying you have to eat red meat by any means. You're good with chicken, tilapia, salmon, shrimp, all that stuff is great. And then whey protein is probably one of the better proteins you can consume throughout from milk. Any more nutrition stuff before I switch topics and talk about a misconception of lifting weights?
What is your take on dairy?
I think dairy is a lot like gluten, where the people who shouldn't have gluten are those that are celiac disease. They have intolerance. If you can consume a lot of lactose and you have stomach problems and it's uncomfortable, don't have dairy. There's nothing wrong with it. People are analyzing the hormones and stuff, and you're going to see in about 5 years when all that stuff gets cleared, all this, no offense, all these hippie dippies are out there running around saying GMO this, GMO, get rid of all these antibiotics and everything, but it's really hard to consume something that is antibiotic fed into our own body. And so you're going to see a lot of changes in that, and it's going to be meat to, not necessarily meat, but maybe we are sheep. When someone tells us that everyone believes it, oh my son, we got to start buying organic, because organic's the way to go. And I just spent $500 on groceries this month, but that's going to make me healthier. Why not exercise? To a certain extent, and you can make a pretty good argument that it's how do you 100% know that it is organic? Unless you, my philosophy is, if you grow it, if you cook it, if you actually a cow and everything, great. But something you buy that's organic, I don't trust you. How could someone at the store not just put, hey, Frank, let's put organic on this right now. Let's have some fun today.
Right?
And do you know that for a fact?
No.
Well, I mean, I'm just putting it without it. And you know, I do like things that are more organic myself, but it is more expensive. If you're eating a ton of protein, it's real expensive to buy organic. Pardon me? So you're classifying sugar as bad, though. Is sugar truly bad?
It's what the brain runs.
It's bad if you consume a lot of it. Okay, yeah, so you're looking at, again, those sugars, is sugar causing obesity? Is it? You can make that argument, there's a lot of graphs that say it is, but maybe it's the fact that we're not moving as much. The bottom line is we're consuming about 400 more calories per day. That's you need to find out your body, your metabolism for your specific goals. You're trying to lose, you need less. You're trying to gain, you need more. So it isn't individual, and you can't make blanket statements saying that this is bad. Because tell that to Jason Watt, who's a football player, and it's a preference. And that's my thing, it's a preference. I mean, it's two sides of the equation, and we're told that organic is always better. I don't necessarily believe that because I'm not growing it myself. I'd love to look at something that says that. Okay, and so that'd be interesting to see.
Sugar is just a carbohydrate too, right?
It's broken down as fructose, and then it's brought over to the liver, and then it's brought back to as glucose.
So it's an energy source. So if you're working out a lot, then you use it as an energy source. But if you're sedentary, then you store it as fat.
Exactly. So for someone who's trying to build,
Yeah.
that's fine. Someone who's trying to lose, be mindful. If someone's trying to lose weight and they had a gun to theirs, have an apple or have broccoli, I would say broccoli. It's going to be better for you. It's less calorically dense, and there's going to be better vitamins and nutrients in it. So, the nutrition stuff. Next one I want to talk about is some big misconceptions I'm getting a lot in class and from clients about soreness. And the big one that comes up a lot is you work out a muscle, you can't work it out for 2 or 3 days. Have you heard that before?
Yep.
I was just talking to someone the other day, said that if I'm going to train with you on Monday, I can't come back until Wednesday. Why? Who told you that? Where did that come from? And a lot of that stems from Arnold. And if you ever look at the bodybuilding of the encyclopedia lifting, Arnold was a badass. And he was lifting 30, 40 sets. He was doing hundreds and hundreds of repetitions. Brett and I did a pretty killer chest exercise, chest workout the other day.
Yeah, okay.
And we probably did like 15 sets. Nothing crazy. He was doing 3 times the amount of that for 2 or 3 hours. He would damage his muscles so much that he would need days to replenish and recover. But for the lay folk, us, we're okay. I did just a fun little anecdotal study on myself. Anecdotal is just you try this. I did 300 push-ups every single day for 30 days. Just to see how my body would respond. That's 9,000 push-ups. My arms didn't fall off. My elbows didn't fall off. My body felt fine. And what that really tested was, I believe, a lot of times we hear stuff and it's kind of coddling people. It's like, oh, work out 3 times a week, that's all you need, and you're in the best shape of your life. 4 times a week, that's it. That's where we're kind of feeding into a society where, and they come out with new trends every single year. In 2016, they said one of the biggest trends is going to be body weight training. And then you have all these DVDs that come out, and it's you work out for 30 minutes, work out for 40 minutes, get the best shape ever. And so it's like we're giving an anecdote to the American population saying work out 30 minutes a week. 30 minutes a day, 4 times you get the best shape of your life. And make sure to rest because you're going to be really, really damaged. You need to give your body 2 or 3 days of rest. Those that need to rest, if you've never worked with advanced elite athletes, NFL players, basketball players, football players, those guys are working out 4 to 5 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week. They are pushing it to the limit. I challenge you to see what your body, your limit is, and that's kind of the fun thing. Work out 4 or 5 days in a row and see how you feel. If you're really tired, sleep. If you're really hungry, eat. Listen to the way your body communicates with you. It's a biofeedback mechanism. It's funny that we wake up and we go throughout the day and we're tired, and we don't listen to that, so we stimulate ourselves. And we constantly stimulate, and then we get on our phone right before we go to sleep, and then we have all that excitement in our head, and it's hard to go to deep sleep. And you wake up, and we're stressed out all the time, so everything's jacked up. Find out what works for you. That's the most important thing. And I think a lot of people have a hard time hearing that because it's pretty simple. Move more, move right, lift weights, make proper choices. We don't do this every single night, I drink regularly, 2-3 times a week. That's not that bad. I still win the week. I eat a lot of protein, a ton of vegetables, a ton of water, get my good healthy fats, and I win the week every single week. I make that a point. My default programming, I was looking at this week, I had a little calendar. I'm like, oh crap. Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, it's gonna be a hard week. There's a lot of events going on. So I prioritize. Okay, so today I fasted before, so I'm on a low calorie day where it's hypocaloric day. I also have a hypercaloric day. What that means is one day I'll go really, really low, one day I'll go really, really high. If I know I'm going to go to a party and there's going to be a bunch of food there, I'm not going to not eat. I'm going to indulge and I'll have a great time. But the prior day I'll have a hypo day where I'm not going to eat as much. I'm working out each one of those days. Even if it's doing a couple sets of push-ups, a couple bodyweight squats, doing some band pull-aparts, wall push-ups, bodyweight squats, step-ups, lunges, whatever is appropriate for you. Just move. That's one of the more important things. Move right now. Any questions on soreness? Who judges a workout off of soreness in here? No?
Well, yeah, I have a question about soreness. Are you supposed to work out if you're so sore?
Great question. So it depends. How sore are you? Where have you been sore recently?
My whole back side.
Okay, so like glutes, hammies.
Yeah, my shoulders, my lower back, my hamstrings.
Do you live around here?
Yeah.
Do you walk here?
Yes.
So when you walk here, do a good 5 minutes of foam rolling, do some dynamic warm-up, and if you're still sensitive to the touch, probably shouldn't work that muscle out. That's usually a good rule of thumb, because you're still rebuilding. So if you feel and you're like, I'm kind of sore in my chest, maybe do a set of push-ups, a little bit of a dynamic stretch, and just kind of get some blood flowing in there. Get a ball in there, having your own big ball, and then do some this stuff. And then afterwards, if you feel all right, count.
So how long is the longest you should be sore for? Like if my hamstrings were sore from Friday's workout and they were still sore on Monday.
It's not necessarily how long, it's just a ramification from the workout.
Okay.
So the workout maybe was too intense, and that's why it's carrying over. It's not like, it's nothing bad. I mean, you can get too sore without analysis, and that's potentially deadly. But what it is next time you do that workout, maybe don't do as much. So cut back on the volume just a little bit. A lot of other factors to nutrition. Are we eating enough protein? Are we sleeping? Are we stressing? So there's a lot of factors that can aid to continual soreness. Maybe we're getting a little cold. Lots of things.
The other thing is I don't get sore now till like after lunch the day after I work out.
And that's actually what the whole process is called, delayed onset muscle soreness.
Okay.
It usually kicks in 24 to 36 hours later. DOMS.
Oh!
Haven't missed you at all. What was your question? You have a question?
I have a question. So if you don't get sore, does that like necessarily mean you didn't like work out properly?
Excellent question right there.
It's a double-edged sword, where soreness is good within reason, but if you're so sore, again, we did a really crazy chest workout the other day. We went super overload. So we went about 50% more than we could normally lift. And we held the weight eccentrically, slowing it down to negatives. I'm crazy sore in my armpits. And this was from Tuesday? Armpits.
Yeah.
And I'm mad at myself because that means I could have done push-ups yesterday, and I couldn't work out my chest today. So there are 2 days where I lost where I could potentially do more work. You also need to look at your current programming, because you could do a very high-intense Monday leg day and not work out again until Friday, and that's fine. So you have to look at what your overall goals are. If your goal is size and volume, the recipe for volume is going to be repetition, doing it more consistently.
Thank you for the great response there, Chris.
Any other questions?
How you doing?
Well, I like to make them short and sweet, about 20-25 minutes, so thank you guys for dressing up.